back to the channel. In today's video we are discussing a couple of articles that I've seen on the news the other day with regards to Lidl trying to phase out the meat products. If you follow the channel, guys, if you generally follow whatever's happening in the world, we already know the agenda is for the government to basically stop us eating meat, normal meat this is, and replace this with a lab processed or lab generated meat, and of course bugs and critters and everything like that. So to see the articles are saying that Lidl actually actively aiming to reduce, well, one of the articles said to reduce the meat on the shelves by 2025, and the other one said they actually are phasing it out by 2025. What I'm considering when somebody says phasing it out, that means that by 2025, slowly, before this, we're going to slowly get rid of this, and by 2025, it's going to be barely any meat left. And it kind of really scares me. I'm not a vegetarian, I'm not a vegan. I enjoy meat. I don't eat meat a lot, and I can probably do without. However, my husband loves meat, like I'm pretty sure many people do, and probably wouldn't do without. Of course, guys, if we have to do without, we have to do without. However, as an option, he would like to prefer to eat meat rather than not. So it makes me wonder, right? The little while back, when the whole thing is started, the Lidl introduced the little weekly thing. You know, guys, they do a weekly special, so they do like Italian week, and they have like a German week and this, and they used to do a vegan or vegetarian week, and it's like, okay, that's great, and that's fine, because it's nothing wrong with encouraging people to eat more plant-based products, but out of choice. So if you wanted to suddenly think, you know, because many religions do as well, if you suddenly want to take a break from eating meat for a month or so, that's absolutely fine, but it's a choice. And when they did this for a little week there and then, that's good. It's just an encouragement, and I feel that it should be an encouragement. And now I've suddenly looking through the Lidl catalogs, you know, you can download those things online. They're suddenly no longer a week of, you know, let's be meatless. They're suddenly now a January become a meatless January, and let's not all eat meat. And we totally understand, like, guys, you know, they're having all this agenda of us not eating meat, hence all these issues with the farming and whatever is currently going on, because they don't want us to eat meat because it's not good for the planet. But again, I'm still coming back to the same thing. I want to have an option whether I choose to eat meat or I don't. I don't want somebody to tell me, oh, actually, well, you're not going to be able to buy meat, or the meat's going to be absolutely stupidly expensive because the government says so. At the same time, there are other ways, as we know, guys, for the governments to cut down the pollution, things like, you know, let's stop flying in our private jets to here, there, and everywhere. Let's stop building a swimming pools and a bar garden, Rishi. Oh, sorry, yeah. So then I can, like, you know, eat my sausage in peace without worrying about the whole scenario. And I watched a couple of videos before, and it was really well summed up. The fact saying that we're all living creatures, guys. We live on this planet, and yes, the planet's overpopulated, but again, the government could have done things slightly different in a different manner, in a different way. But people have been eating meat since, like, old days. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, we were born and we're eating meat, if that makes sense. That there is, yes, of course, there's loads more people now, but not everybody eats meat. And I think, to some extent, if people given an option, like it was an episode in Friends, if you ever watch Friends, when the Joey loves meat and Phoebe doesn't, and she goes, you know what, I'll stop eating meat, just to kind of make up for your half. And I think that many people would do. If somebody tells me, do you know what, we're having a really hard time, say, you know, sustaining the meat stuff, let's all count down on meat. And I'm like, okay, you know, I've been given a choice, and I'll make this choice and say, okay, maybe I can cut down the meat to like once a week, because I'm not overly fast, guys. So long as I can eat fish, and I prefer fish to the meat anyway, then it's fine. Then it means if somebody wants to eat meat, they can eat meat. But again, it should be a choice. And I feel like I've covered this on the many videos. Our choice as a human to what we are, where we're living right now, it seems to be just slowly disappearing. And it's going to be like, you know, a few years down the line, we're going to be choiceless, meatless, society that just has no option to do anything. And one thing that I just can't really understand is why in many countries, guys, you know, it's happening obviously everywhere, but in many countries people are just uprising and sort of creating the chaos. But I'm speaking probably not just for UK, guys, there's many countries we are, as a people, we're just not really out there trying to do something, because I totally understand, we're all there, all we're trying to do is just to earn our living, because things are so goddamn hard right now. All we can concentrate, even ourselves, is just make sure we can afford to pay the mortgage and put the food on our table. We don't seem to have even not an ability, but option or time to even consider, like, let's just go and just trying to just go out there and protest and do whatever. We just not seem to be, as a nation, I'm sure many go and protest, but generally as a working people that have families, it's very hard to find time or even knowing where to start to sort of protest against this whole, whatever is happening. It feels like we're not given a choice, and I don't know what to do because I want to have my say, but unless we all as a community sort of pull together and trying to portray our, thoughts and feelings, then I don't think anything going to be happening. And as I said, apart from also the Lidl obviously trying to phase out the meat, obviously we know it's happening on many other levels. Like apparently I've seen an article, my husband actually also seen an article, apparently in Italy, like they approved flour made from like critters, and it just sounds so goddamn disgusting. And out of all like food people, the Italians, they like love their food, and I don't think they particularly say would be keen on eating something that's made from critters. I've been to Thailand when I was younger. I've eaten, the deep fried, jumpy things. They're kind of fine, but it's one of those like, yay, I ate a jumping cockroach, great, happy days, yay, tick, done. It's not something really I want to introduce into my diet, because yes, we need protein, but at the same time, it's a whole thing you guys know, of course, unless you're vegetarian or vegan, but generally we do need a protein in our diet. And for years and hundreds of years, we've been eating meat, and we need meat as a healthy part of, the whole our body situation thing. And other thing that worries me, if little we go, how many years back, guys? I would say like 5-6 years ago, when there's a whole fiasco about the horse meat in the mincemeat and the meat. And obviously, I don't know I'm pretty sure it's been pretty much all over the world, but in UK certainly has been all over the news that apparently the test labs found, the results found there was a horse meat into our beef. So basically for however long, and nobody knows however long that was, that we've been fed, whether mixed or not mixed, we've been fed a horse meat rather than a beef. And when it suddenly all came out, everybody, oh my God, it's disgusting. It was like, oh no, I can't believe I've been eating horse. And it was like blown over. And then a few weeks gone past, and suddenly things gone quiet because we're like, okay, I ate horse, yeah, okay, yeah, ate horse, yeah, disgusting, ate horse, yeah, been and gone now. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's been phased out. But in France, we've been in France many times. They sell steaks from horse, and we bought them. We tried it out of principle, out of research, and it pretty much tasted like beef. Yes, again, the part is that's unfair that it's been fed to us without us potentially knowing. Yeah, and this was like a few years back. So my thoughts are now, they're talking about the lab-grown meat, and they're talking about the critters and everything else, making stuff there. Hear me. If you're new to vegetarian foods and vegan foods, or maybe if you're not, because I deal with the Tesco's, we distribute the surplus food, and we quite often get a food that is like a vegan, vegetarian, and God forbid you look at the back and the ingredients list is longer than a dictionary. And half of the things that are mentioned there, again, I'm not speaking for specific brands, but this is just my knowledge, my understanding to what I've seen and looked at so many times, that the ingredients longer than a dictionary, and half of the things there, I don't even know what they are, or they don't even mention. So for all we know now, we're already potentially being fed this kind of stuff, critters, whatever, worms, whatever they want us to eat just to save the planet, right? And it potentially could be already in there. This is really the scary part. So again, coming back to the fact is that things could be done differently from the government point, rather than suffocating the people that live in right now. It's again, guys, I'll say this once more time, there's no problem. If you're vegan or vegetarian, that's absolutely fine. Yes, should we eat generally less meat? Absolutely, because red meat especially, not particularly that good for us, but in small portions is really something that we need to have. So basically, choice. This all comes down to a choice. I want to have a choice, and I want to make the decision if I want to eat the red meat or any meat at all. I don't want the government to tell me, actually, do you know what? No, lab processed meat or nothing. So this is basically, yes, this is the scary part for me, and I'm like, we know we're prepping, right? And I did tell you before, I did a video a little while back and say like, buy meat or eat critters later. Absolutely, buy meat now. If you can, obviously buy some tins. Of course, guys, it's only gonna last for X amount of time. Yes, the tins last X amount of years past that, but again, we only just kind of creating a cushion exit. If they're literally going to be a lab meat, processed meat, or maybe normal meat if we're still able to get it, there's going to be a stupid price. We only cushion in the transition to be able to have X amount of tins, unless of course, guys, if you grow your own meat. But something tells me that there will be more implications further on with the farming and creating your own, or having your own chickens, or having your own meat. It's going to be things that will tell us that we shouldn't be allowed or not allowed to do this. Even to the point is, we actually discussed this with my other half, you know, saying like the bugs, and they're talking about the ants and the high of protein. That's absolutely fine, yes, high protein, great. But what chances are eventually they're going to say, do you know what, it's illegal to go and eat your own ants from your back garden because they carry some sort of disease. Because no doubt they'll make up some sort of a disease. So people just don't want to go and forage for their own, you know, ants in their back garden. Do you know what I'm saying? At the same time, some of you might think, okay, well, but we can go and hunting. First of all, of course, not everybody got an ability or place to go hunting. Secondly, not everybody has weapons to go hunting. And thirdly, again, I know there'll be many survivalists out there who goes, oh yeah, I can go and shoot my own deer, shoot my own this. Don't forget, you're not going to be alone. Not at all, as you know, it's illegal to go and camp in somebody else's forest unless it's actually a campsite. Going into trying to shoot a deer or somebody else in, again, somebody else's land is probably also going to be illegal. Although, yes, they might not be easily enforcing this at any point, like when it happens. However, don't forget, you're not the only one. And I think there's some slight delusion of people thinking like, oh my God, I can live in the forest, I can survive in the forest, and I can forage, I can eat this and that. But don't forget, for any reason, if a whole village or town has to be evacuated, don't forget, probably like at least a quarter of those people would choose to go down the forest road. And just think that you're going to have a forest with all the resources to yourself is not going to happen. You're going to have a bunch of you, you're going to be there fighting for the same deer to try and eat it. So do you see what I'm saying? It's like, it's such a bigger picture out there. But my point is basically having the whatever they put in your meat already, you know, having the bugs in your meat or having a meat made from bugs or lab protected meat is not the same as eating your little pony in, you know, in the mincemeat that we've been given a few years back. However, as it stands now, I'm going to still trying to stock up on meat as much as we can, and I'm talking about more tinned meat because obviously whatever's going to happen we don't know, but as long as we work out how much meat we'll eat and how much, obviously the expiry date and best before date plus extra years on top, something I'm comfortable of stocking knowing that it's not going to go off. And then my other thing, guys, we have no option unless something happens and we as a community just going to uprise and say, do you know what, your government do something better themselves. Do you know what I mean? They all the stuff seems to be put on us, and the tiny little folk, the basic people, they just got on with their lives. They want to eat a sausage and a bit of steak once in a while. But yet they do far worse things that to do with the environment. I care about the planet, I care about the environment, don't get me wrong. But all I want to do, if I'm being sacrificed of eating my sausage, and then somebody else, you know, flies in their private jets back and forth just to discuss me eating my sausage, then it's not cool. You know, this is not good. And also, I must bring this up too. I've seen again in the end of the article with the Lidl and stuff, it was another article saying there that also farmers are fighting or trying to fight basically to create a ban on the vegan food being called a sausage, a steak and a chicken breast. And again, with all due respect to vegetarians and vegans, I think that's absolutely right. If it's a sausage made from pork, right? Steak is a steak made from a cow, and a chicken breast is a breast from chicken or any other bird. And I came across the things that was called a non-chicken breast and some other sausage things that not meat related, but yet they had this. Well, don't call it chicken breast. Do you know what I mean? If you guys if they produce something that is not a chicken breast, don't call it a breast, non-chicken breast. Just call it something else. Call it like, you know, a protein patty. There's other ways of that. And I kind of totally understand where the farmers are coming from, because, like, you know, if chicken had feelings, could be offended, it will be offended, because, like, well, this is not chicken breast. I'm not trying to be like, sorry, don't read this like I know some of you might will do, but the principle is, if it's not a chicken breast, they'll call it like chicken breast, because it's just not a chicken breast, which is fine. Call it plant-based, whatever. But anyway, my point is, sorry, I'm digressing. It's going to be a long video. Digressing. The point is now, guys, apart from stocking up on the tins, I am going to start finding an alternative way of having a more protein-rich diet, but with vegetarian recipes. I do a lot of vegetarian recipes anyway. We don't eat meat every day, but I want to have a choice when I eat meat, and I don't want somebody to tell me I eat a lab meat or no meat at all. I want to have a choice, and I'm just going to probably create another occasional recipe where we are going to try to basically create a protein-rich meals that are a vegetarian meals, but without 20 millions of ingredients, because, you know, we know what goes in the burger. We know we can make, you know, a patty from like beans and stuff like this, but I think we can do better than what they do in the shops and have like 25, 30 ingredients just for a non-meat patty. Do you know what I mean? There's a better options out there. So I'm going to make it my mission to find recipes and find a ways where we can put a non-meat options on our plate that potentially replace this meaty need for the people that need it, if that makes sense. I can happily eat a pasta. I don't need a meat replacement, yet people like, say, my husband and many others, I'm sure, will crave this meatiness, and I'm going to make my mission to try and make and find something that will kind of hit this note. So if you can't have meat and we don't want to eat the lab meat, then something that'll be there flavor-wise to kind of trying to compete a little bit with the meat. Anyway, so this is that, guys. Sorry, hopefully I haven't sort of dragged on a bit too much, but I just wanted to express my concerns and just the thoughts and what is actually happening, and it's happening fast. And another point I forgot to mention, Lidl seems to be normally a leader for like a pricing and things that they do, and I think once they start this, and I know obviously every supermarket have their little vegan vegetarian range, once they come to close to that 2025, I think things are going to just spiral out of control really, really quickly. And I think we'll see the disappearance of many things far quicker than we think. So anyway, hopefully you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to thumbs up, and I will see you on the next one. Bye bye.